Welcome back to this week's episode of the Well House Exorcism. This is your ghost of the host with the most, Shanna.
And it's Brokewa PJ.
Yeah, got it right this time.
I did.
All right. I'm so proud of you. Welcome to our final episode of the 2023 season. As I mentioned in our very late episode from this past week, this will be our last episode. It's a special one with our friends from Full Sun Rejects. I can talk. It's okay. And then after that, we're going on vacation for Christmas. And then on the 31st, we're going to be with family, actually. So we're taking the last 2 weeks of the year for ourselves, so PJ can heal, as mentioned in the last episode. So we're finishing. I made a joke on the last episode, which you'll hear when it officially airs, just so you know, over there, Full Sun Rejects. But I said, we're going out with the old, in with the new. So you're finishing up the year because you're old. It gets worse. And then we'll get better in the new year. It's a better joke when you hear it on the episode, but it's been a week. So,
a little bit.
I'm exhausted. There's not enough caffeine in the world, but I'm proud of myself. I'm maximizing literally every single minute of my life to the point where I actually wrapped Christmas presents on my lunch break today. I brought presents to my job to wrap during my 30-minute uninterrupted lunch break.
It's impressive.
Yeah. Christmas is going to happen, and this house is going to stay clean. The kids are going to stay fed and bathed. It's going to happen.
So for listeners who didn't hear our crossover episode with you guys, do you want to introduce yourself and what you do?
Yes, so my name's Anthony. My wife here is Rose. She's one of our co-hosts. Billy is another one of our co-hosts. We're the Full Sun Rejects. We cover a variety of topics: the spooky, the mysterious, some historical. As you guys kind of refer to in your episodes, a lot of things get worse. I very much enjoyed that, especially when you're like, it gets worse. Wait, it's Full Sun Rejects. We get spooky.
we get spookier.
It really depends each week how what we feel like covering. As for instance, we have episodes coming up covering heists in Boston, serial killers in Chicago, and Rose is doing Christmas folklore and different Santa Claus, how different cultures around the world view Santa Claus.
Love it.
Cool.
And as we did a crossover, you guys came on to us to cover Shard Mountain, the historical parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did interviews with family members who, had people went missing on the mountains. And then we just did another interview that came out where they talked about their a son who was murdered along the way.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, it was rough listening to. I was like, I don't want to listen anymore.
Yeah, I had to turn it off a couple times, and I haven't finished it yet, actually. It's heartbreaking.
No, they're good. I mean,
it's heartbreaking.
The stories need to be told, but I gotta take a break once in a while. I'm like, this is too heartbreaking. I like sad, I like spooky stuff, but it's too sad.
Listen, Billy was mentioning the entire time, hey, so are you covering my therapy for this episode?
Yeah.
Like the one we just did, it was truly, because the person we just talked to, her son was part of a double murder.
Mm.
Oh.
God, we all cried. It was terrible.
Yeah. No. There's only so much sad that you can take.
There really is. I would like to tell you both that for that episode you came and did a crossover with us. The families wanted me to tell you guys, that they appreciated you guys doing the history of it, and they really enjoyed that episode as well.
Oh, good.
Well, that's good, because we said in the episode following that, or maybe it's our episode that came out the same week, like, it's always tricky to talk about spooky stuff when it comes to missing people and real life murders and stuff, because you don't want to do them disservice, Yeah. And we were really hoping that if they heard it, that they took it the right way with the right intentions and everything.
Yeah.
Well, they absolutely did.
That's good.
It was actually already interesting. So I was listening to, I think it was PJ, the episode you did on Games Overboard, when I think it was this last? No, 2 episodes ago, you just came out with an episode when you did the Star Wars talk, I believe.
Yeah.
And you were talking about maybe something like a paranormal stuff being involved, but you didn't want to be offensive.
Mm-hmm.
That was a theory they had as well.
Yeah.
Like it's at a point where they just, I think this is 10 years going on now for one of these families. They don't want to. Nothing's out of the realm for them.
Yeah. Like they said in the interview with you, like they literally thought of every solution in their heads. Lying in bed at night and everything. They haven't. There's no scenario they haven't thought of.
When your brain has to go there too, like you want to think about every avenue, like leave no stone unturned kind of situation.
Yeah, you just want an answer. That's all.
Yeah. So I just want to say hats off to you guys. I couldn't have gotten through it. I would have been just on the floor crying. I couldn't have done it.
It helps. I've been desensitized thanks childhood trauma and military.
Yeah, there's that. But I really hope that they get some answers at some point because it's just so heartbreaking.
Mm.
So listeners, if you have not listened to those episodes, you have to. Maybe not over Christmas, because 'tis the season to be jolly. But
yeah.
New Year's, wait for that New Year's hangover to kick in.
Yeah.
Thing.
There it is.
Oh my gosh.
So you're here tonight to talk about spooky, though, because my podcast is spooky. And
Absolutely.
So in your episode, you had mentioned that you have a past that multiple people have seen this or experienced this. And I was immediately intrigued, but we couldn't go into details because I was too busy talking about all my history. Way too much history that I had. Yeah. So what story are you going to tell about tonight?
So this is a story of a house I grew up in where several people claim to be haunted. I'm going to go into the history of the house.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I thought of you when I did it. Because
do you have your references? Jackie gives us references.
Oh, my reference! This whole episode, that was in my notes. My references for the episode, because I know how you like your references. It's just my personal historical anecdotes from what happened.
It's from my brain space, as we say.
That is a joke I have here somewhere. So if I say that again, you're warned. I'm gonna first go in the history of the house, and then the surrounding area, which you already kind of covered during, was it 2 or 3 episodes ago when you were talking about the Native Americans who were more or less slaughtered?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so you're down there near Conestoga.
We're about 15, 20 minutes from Pottsville.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay, yeah.
But I'm going to get into that too, because there's actually a famous area there, Centralia.
Yes.
For mine fires. That's the inspiration for Silent Hill. Which, didn't we do that one? Rose is here with me as well. Didn't we do that for one of our episodes? We talked about that? Yeah. Centralia is actually literally right next to Ashland. So there's the historical haunted thing. And if anyone's into video games, this area was actually featured in Grand Theft Auto 5.
Was it really?
Yeah, I'm gonna get to the Gordon Mountain Ghost. I'll get to her through my little historical aspect.
All right.
But I'll start off before I, continue to ramble with my ADHD. So, like I said, I want to give the historical background to the house in the area. The house itself was built in 1905. It was built by the local coal companies, which I kind of explained to you when you were on our podcast. In this area, anthracite coal was discovered, which I believe was first discovered in Pottsville.
Yes.
You might fact check that. Oh, okay.
Well, remember, I did the research for you. Yes.
Yep. Well, there we go.
From my brain space to yours, my reference is me.
Today's reference is you. But after that was discovered, a lot of small coal towns propped up. And for anyone who's not familiar with or doesn't know, basically the coal companies owned everything. They made their own money, their own police, everything.
Yep.
It's actually really interesting. You talk to people with Irish blood in them, because it was mostly Irish people who worked the coal mines. They claimed slavery did not end at the end of the Civil War.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It was institutionalized slavery.
Oh, yeah. It's they were, quote, paid, but it was not American currency. It was the coal company's money.
Well, there's that song that goes, "I owe my soul to the company store," right? Is that how the line
Something
goes?
like that, yeah.
And that was not a lie.
Popular song.
Yeah.
Which is a kind of a point into this, because the certain area has this violent and hatred-centered basis, because the Molly Maguire's was in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a lot, depend on your viewpoint on this. They're either freedom fighters or terrorists.
Kind of both. A little column A, a little column B.
Well, because the society themselves, they started from Ireland. Like, it was in Ireland, whatever. But here, they were, as, stories I heard from locals, especially growing up, blowing up train tracks,
Mm-hmm.
shooting at police stations. I believe I was told of a murder at one point in Shenandoah, or as we call it, Shendo.
Yeah, Shendo.
Shendo.
Which, fun fact, Shendo was almost a state capital.
Ugh.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Well, because of the coal mines back then. But
Yeah.
it wasn't centralized enough for the entire state, so they didn't go with it. But yeah, Shendo was almost the capital of the state.
I couldn't imagine Shenandoah being the cap.
I know.
That's crazy. Although Harrisburg scares me, so.
Yeah, not a good city either. But yeah, so the Mullinars were here way before this house was built, but kind of just establishes that there was, death and murder and crime and all this stuff going on. Especially, it was 20, some of them that were convicted and hung in Pottsville,
Mm-hmm.
which I believe you can still visit that building today and kind of experience that little bit of haunting.
Well, they say, it's still really haunted down there.
Well, there's a lot of hauntings down there. You have the Human Mansion at Tamaqua. There's a lot of hauntings. And one I'm about to get into right now, which I just referenced for the GTA 5 video game, is the Gordon Mountain Ghost. I'm just referencing, it's one of the more prominent, more known ones. In 1925, not far from a popular hunting trail, 2 hikers found the body of a deceased woman.
Mm-hmm. I remember the story, yeah.
And they only found her because there was crows flying above, and
Ooh,
if
yeah.
you're a hunter
Yeah.
and tracker, you see birds flying above, there's a corpse, and you think it's going to be a deer or a bear or some
kind of carrion, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they found a body, but this poor woman, her identity was never discovered. However, it was noticed that her skull was crushed in and there was gashes all over her body. So obviously something terrible happened to this person.
Yeah.
The case was never solved, and there are sayings that her ghost still haunts the mountain. The legend says that if you drive slowly on top of the mountain, your car, its lights will flicker, you'll feel a cold breeze, stuff like that.
Oh Lord, she coming.
Oh, she a coming. Personally, myself, I used to work on top of the mountain. I worked at a Wegmans warehouse up there. I never experienced that. However, for whatever reason, and there could be a biological or natural response to this. I don't know. I'm not going to claim this, whatever. There was a lot of deceased animals at night on the road.
Wow.
Okay.
I know I hit 2 or 3 small animals in that 5-6 month time frame I was there, but there was a lot of deceased small, skunks, raccoons, critters like that.
Wow. Almost like they're running away from something. I don't know.
It's possible. I mean, there is also, a notion, where demonic presences or ghosts can be associated with deceased carrion that are just. But if anyone's interested in the GTA 5 story, there's a part of the map where you go on top of the mountain. If it's raining at night, you can see a ghost. And that is supposed to be the Gordon Mountain Ghost.
Oh, that's so cool. Look at that.
That's interesting.
Pennsylvania made it.
Yeah, I knew about the ghost. I just didn't realize it was connected to Pennsylvania history. That's really cool.
That's the developers of the game. They came out and said, yeah, this is the Gordon Mountain Ghost.
Wow.
Pennsylvania's so cool.
Which, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, if Centralia got big for Silent Hill, I mean, they probably saw that and then, try to find some other local legends.
We have a lot of local lore that is, titillating and horrifying at the same time. So I'm not surprised.
This is the part where the history gets worse.
Of course. Yay! I mean, oh no. Isn't it sad? You're hooray! Oh.
Yeah. Well, I just felt it important as the era of coal went away, as we kind of went more toward oil and
other natural gas, yeah.
Natural gas, and even kind of today where we're trying to go to clean energy. Ashland and the surrounding areas became a really depressed area. People left. There was less and less jobs. So, people are moving elsewhere. And this led to what you typically see in depressed areas as far as crime, substance abuse, domestic violence, arson, small crimes here and there. And this could really, if there's already a presence here, it could feed into that negative energy.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I have notes here growing up. I mean, it was one of those towns where everyone knew each other's name. I believe Ashland had like 2,000 people living in. Now you think, everyone knows everyone. That would kind of help things not be so bad. But, there was a lot of alcohol-inspired domestic abuse.
Yeah.
And what's really sad, and just to prove the point of what goes on in depressed areas, a lot of, females that I know I graduated with, they were sexually assaulted. It's easier to find who was than wasn't.
That's crazy. Oh, it's terrible.
And a lot of it was either some guy they believed in that that they fell in love with, or a family member. It's bad.
Jeez, wow.
And then on top of that, you have, as time went on, as highways were developed, especially since the 70s, the area became connected with Philadelphia and New York. Big problem with drugs.
Yeah.
Which is really unfortunate, but again, it's a depressed area, and that's. I used to make joke all the time. I'm pretty sure the top employee here was drug dealers.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're, like you said, it's a terrible area at this point. There's no jobs. Your family is broken, and they're hoping coal will come back, but it's not going to. You turn to something to be happy, to make yourself momentarily happy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we worked in Mount Carmel and for years, and we almost bought a house there. It's fully furnished for $30,000.
Yeah.
Yep. And I only include that information because it kind of gives into the idea that, again, this is a bad area. It's going to dive into this negative energy that's already here. However, to the main event, the Ashland house and what I experienced there.
Oh, yeah.
So, like I said, this house is built in 1905 by the coal companies. It's a double, which for anyone who might not know what that means, it's really a house, and then right attached to the wall is another house.
Yeah, I think that people call it duplexes, but in our area, they're called doubles and triples, depending on where you're at.
Yeah.
But they're row homes, pretty much.
Row, that's another good term. Now, there's a lot of people who are buying them now, and they'll tear down that middle wall and one big house. But yeah, now the house, when we got it in the year either late 1999 or 2000. I was about 4 or 5, which is where the dreams I have had kind of began. The first one, it was the only time I ever had this kind of dream, was incredibly screwed. It started in the upstairs where this man, I'd say like in his 40s or so, was pushing this woman's head in the bathtub, like below the water.
Oh my gosh.
Again, I'm 4 or 5.
Yeah, yeah.
This is fine.
And
in no way is this going to cause years of therapy. Continue.
No, not at all.
Plot twist, it did.
Yeah. I'm so surprised.
Now, I remember her body. Like, I remember this dream to this day. And you're not supposed to remember dreams.
Mm-hmm.
She had cuts on her. Like, she was bloody. Like, she was previously attacked before she was pushed in there. And now this man eventually takes her out of that tub, drags her down the stairs, and then into the basement, which is the second set of stairs. And he pushes her up against the wall and kills her with an axe.
Oh my gosh.
Now, keep in mind, like I said, I'm 4 or 5. There's not many 4 or 5-year-olds out there who know what an axe murder is.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you like snuck in and like popped in a DVD back then, you don't know what an axe murder is.
Yeah, no.
So that was pretty terrifying.
And that was like when you first moved in then?
Yeah, because we bought the house. So this is like one of my earliest memories. Because I might have a memory before that where we looked at another house, and then I remember us like pulling up to the house after we bought it, and then this is like my memory after that.
Okay.
And again, you're not supposed to remember
No,
dreams.
yeah. Especially when you're that young.
So here's why that is relevant. I'm make sure my date's correct here. 2001, my mom got pregnant with my sister. At the time, there was 2 bedrooms. So you had the master bedroom where my parents stayed in. There was my bedroom. So they began to convert the very, at the end of the hallway, it was a storage room. They began to convert it to a bedroom. So, we actually have room for all these kids.
What?
It was some real 19th century stuff going on, all right?
Yeah, we know. Our house was from 1901, so we're right there with you.
Oh, okay. You guys understand that.
Knock down a wall, cry because you have 5 million things gotta fix now. Yeah, it's cool. Continue. Let's talk about my trauma. My trauma started when I moved into this house. For many reasons, not just because of the ghosts.
Well, they had the idea, okay, we're doing this one room. Let's renovate the rest of this house because there is some terrible wallpaper along the walls where that naturally goes.
Mm-hmm.
So along the stairs, going from the second floor to the first floor, when they took it off, there was a blood trail.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Yeah. There was not just a blood trail, but there was handprints in the wall. And then the stairway going into the basement, there was shelves for extra storage. If you look up at those shelves, there was what looked like blood splatter.
Oh, geez.
Oh.
Red dots.
Mm-hmm.
I remember perfectly the top shelf. It was prominent. It was there. There was a lot of the red there or whatnot. And as you went down, it kind of got less and less.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also more length between the drawer or the shelves and the steps. So you're not convinced that something horrible happened here. Let me get to the basement. So to give an idea of what the basement looked like, when you first get off those steps, it's unfinished. There was wooden pallets there, so you wouldn't be walking on dirt. It was mostly storage. For us, we used for recyclables. Our oil container was down there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
However, the next room was loosely finished. There was a nice concrete floor. It was a laundry room. As a lot of houses built back then, it was.
Mm-hmm.
Laundry was basement.
Yep.
However, the walls, it was unfinished stone.
Okay.
If you looked, so as soon as you go in there, you have to your right is the door that goes outside, and there's steps that goes up to the backyard. If you go left to that door, there's what looks like 2 handprints.
Oh.
Pushed in, and then the side of a face.
Oh, jeez.
And then above that face, there is a lot of red, it's old blood.
Mm.
Wow.
You think they would have cleaned this before they sold the house? You just think someone was just not doing their job.
Yeah, the realtor. I don't know. Again, I was 5. I wasn't in charge.
My parents on the papers. I just had the bad dreams.
Yeah. They just let's throw some money. Screw this kid.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
So the room I was talking about before that was getting renovated, I would eventually move in there.
Okay.
But before that happened, I had some weird occurrences in the bedroom. So the bedroom I was currently in was left of the stairs, and then it was my bedroom, the stairs to the attic, and then my parents' room.
Okay.
And I remember this these set of horrible dreams where something happened in my dreams, and I would wake up and I would be sore and I have a bruise on my leg or something.
Oh, wow.
I remember specifically one dream where it was I was tossed down my stairs and I woke up and my back and my legs were in all this pain. And okay, you can argue I slept the wrong way. I understand that argument.
Yeah.
But then one night, so every kid does, I want to go sleep with mommy and daddy's room.
Of course, yeah.
There was one night I went to do that, and there was this shadow figure in my way.
Ooh.
Oh, man.
And it was tall to me. And I believe I go into this later in my notes here. It was not the most peaceful of rooms or houses. There was a lot of, abuse and whatnot that went on.
Mm-hmm.
So at first, like, I thought, oh, this is him, throwing back my bed. He just want me going in there. And then I realized how, like, big the shadow figure was. Fun fact, it was my stepdad. He's not a tall person. But, like, this thing, like, it kept pushing me back in my bed. Like, it did not want me to go in.
Huh.
And that's where the dreams start, where I started having nightmares of what I'm about to get into here.
I wonder why it didn't want to keep you in that room to give you nightmares then. Like it was showing you something, so it didn't want you safe with your parents.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Not allowed to mix up positions. I apologize.
No, go ahead.
Am I on the right track? Get back in your room.
There's a point where I'm like, I don't think this was like a terrible person, or a terrible spirit, I should say. Like I said, about 2001, about 6, I moved into the new bedroom, and a lot more like creepy things began to happen. Especially nightmares, they began to really take off, and it was a recurrent nightmare where I was like walking into my room, and at like the corner of my bed, where like you lay your head and everything, there was this girl, long black hair, and she was like curled over. How do you describe the position? Like, when you're
fetal position.
Yeah, fetal position. Like, you're in your school and you're doing a fire drill.
Yeah, you got tuck and roll.
Yeah.
Did she have like her head in her hands, like she was that way, or was she like rolled on her side?
No, she was sitting up. Her arms were like on her knees.
Yeah. Okay.
And her head was. And I would go approach her, and her like face or her head would shift, and it would be like these piercing dark eyes.
Yeah.
Don't like that.
You can stay over there. Bye.
I did not like either. But she would just let out this like blood curdling scream.
Oh. And you were 6 experiencing this?
Yeah, it was not a good time.
Oh, jeez.
It was not fun. And I would, like, every time I would shoot out of my bed and I would freak out.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
I don't understand why. That's fine. Go back to bed, honey.
But it was like these soulless eyes, like nothing was in there.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some nights I would calm myself back down and go back to sleep. And then other nights I was in panic. Like, I was freaking out. And I would just not go back to sleep at all. And here's like just another thing. So like I said, my first bedroom was by the attic. Now this room is the end of the hallway. If my bedroom door was left open at night, and it really often was because I wasn't allowed to close my door, if I looked down the hallway, I just like had this feeling come over me, like something eerie, something just, there's a presence down the end of the hallway.
Oh no.
And I would get like goosebumps. I would feel anxiety. And there's no reason a 6-year-old is feeling anxiety.
No, that's not appropriate.
That's familiar. That brings back some memories for me that I didn't remember I had.
Well, it makes me think of Eli too,
Yeah, I always had to have my door like slightly closed, but also kind of open. I couldn't have it completely open because that freaked me out. Yeah.
Well, this is the point where I wanted to bring up, because I want to be transparent and fair to like anybody who might be skeptical. Like I said, it was a really abusive household. It fed into negative energy, and you can easily make a claim. Okay, there's a 6-year-old getting abused. Their head's not going to process things. It might conjure up some
in your dreams. Yeah,
you're projecting some.
Your long-term memory and your short-term memory, yeah.
Exactly. But we'll get to why I don't think that's the case, later on, as I bring other people into this. Now, another thing, especially at night, I would hear voices throughout the house, mostly if I was upstairs, which again you can chalk up to kids getting his rear end kicked in and beat up pretty. his mind's not going to be the best. But if that's the case, I would have heard these voices, outside of the house. I only heard these inside of the house.
To add some levity, was the voice saying, "We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty."
Unfortunately, at 6, I did not have a car.
Well, you could prepare.
I did have, remember those little red cars with the yellow things?
Yeah, the little Tykes cars.
Yeah, I had one of those.
You need some extended warranty on that, obviously.
I was reckless. I had a juice box too many. And...
That's right. You gotta be careful.
But on that note, where me not hearing voices outside of this house, these nightmares never followed outside of this house either. So it kind of goes against that, if there's a kid being mentally not there, these dreams and these voices are going to carry on outside of the house. They never did for me. Well,
and a lot of the listeners that we have, they understand that when it comes to this stuff, it feeds on negative energy, and there's a lot of energy for it to feed on. So, like, I 100% believe that you were experiencing something because, it could feed off of it.
Well, that's exactly what I brought up before, because, like, I understand that there is already a spirit there, especially when it's trapped there, which I believe, which I'm going to get into. Like, I believe the spirit's trapped there.
Mm-hmm.
If there's negative things happening, it's going to invoke it. It's going to give it some power. It's going to want to make its presence known.
Yeah.
So this is the part where I was saying before, where I believe this spirit wasn't an evil one. It wasn't bad. When I was 10, and this is early October, it was a rainy Saturday, and it was a Saturday morning, and something like shook me awake. Like, I felt some presence there that like shot me awake, made me react to something. And I remember running downstairs, and my mom, she was about to go. Remember those box tops like everyone used to collect for school?
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
All right, this isn't a good story.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
It gets worse.
I was excited about
but
box
we love
tops.
box tops.
Yeah, that was an entire setup to bring back that nostalgia before it gets worse.
Dear box tops, if you're listening, this whole scan the QR code thing is stupid. Bring back box tops. Anyway, let's get depressed, I guess.
Make box tops great again.
Yes.
So, she was part of the school's committee to kind of collect them and whatnot for the school. And like I said, very rainy day. She was about to go take box tops from Ashland to Frackville, which is about 15, 20 minutes away. And I came down, and I was like begging her. Like, there's something told me, do not go. Don't go.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot go. She's a woman. She was very persistent.
That's sexist, but I yes.
Yeah. I mean, no offense, but come on.
Oh, we get it done. I don't care. Right, Rose?
Yep.
That's right.
Hey, all the respect. I know I'm lazy. Okay. She keeps my life going. Good for me. But so I insisted, okay, let me keep my sisters here. And it was maybe an hour later, maybe 2 hours later, the phone rang. And my stepdad, he flew out of the house, and he said, I have to go pick up your mom from the school. I knew she was going to school, but something told me something happened.
Mm-hmm.
So some more time passes, and I'm playing like the original Star Wars Battlefront 2 with my sister.
Yes.
I had a feeling, especially at that Star Wars episode, you would appreciate that.
Good choice, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Dude, I can exactly tell you what we were doing. We were doing that one map where you can be all the heroes and villains.
All right, yep.
Nerd alert.
You have no idea.
Wrong podcast.
Make Star Wars Battlefront great again.
No, go away.
Yeah. Yes. And while my sister's watching this, and my mom comes in, and she's like bloody, bruised, bandaged, and all this. It turns out, you guys live in Bloomsburg area, correct?
Yeah.
That area, yeah.
So do you know where the 2-miler is, going from Ashland to Frackville?
No.
Okay. Well, like the name intends, it's a 2-mile stretch of road, bunch of inclines, bunch of turns. She was on that road going to Frackville, and like I said, it was raining, and she hydroplaned. and then a pickup truck smashed her.
Oh.
And the cops told her she was in the only survivable spot.
Wow.
So she just got lucky.
Yeah. And that's where I started to believe that this spirit wasn't evil. It was just his own thing, because something woke me up that day.
And it wanted to protect you and your sisters, obviously.
Yeah. Like it knew, somehow I knew something was bad was going to happen. But that's because something told me.
Yeah.
So you might be thinking now, well, now me and the spirit of friends, these bad dreams stop. No.
Well, ghosts can't really be friends, I would say. Not in this house.
I guess you took on that anti-hero role, like, Deadpool or something. Like, hey, if it comes down to it, I'm here for you, but any time, I'm going to mess with you.
I want you alive so I can show you all these terrible things. How
Yeah.
about that?
Like the nightmares will continue. They're very repetitive, same thing over and over. And it was just that blood curdling like shriek I could just not shake. Now at this point, fast forward to 2007, my mom decided to get pregnant again with my brother. So we needed more room again, because you have. It was at that point, my sisters, they're close enough to where they can share a room. But a teenager boy and a baby,
No.
So they began to renovate half of the attic into a bedroom, which at first sounded cool because that means I get the biggest bedroom in the house.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you may have not, or if you did catch a thing before, there's some spooky things happening towards the attic steps.
Yeah.
So during these renovations, there were some things that were happening, and there's one that sticks out specifically. Me and my one friend were hanging out, the lights were off, we're hanging on top of the stairs, and we hear like something running in that half of the room.
Oh
no.
Like something going on, and we're like, what the heck? With the lights, the only thing in the room was a can of paint and a step ladder. There was no tools. There was nothing that could have been knocked over and caused a noise.
And like rolled, yeah.
wow.
And at that point, we were like, nope, and we fled.
I'm
Because
in
at this
danger.
I didn't get much into it, but at this point, when you're a kid, you have people who come stay the night, sleepovers, whatnot. Anyone who came over, they had this weird feeling there. But if I stayed over at a friend's house, that feeling wasn't there.
So no one came to your house for a sleepover. Got it.
Had a few. Most because
they just didn't come back.
Yeah.
Well, they
one night and one night only.
I had two friends who came over, basically.
You should have charged admission.
Could have.
Unfortunately, nobody taught me capitalism when I was 12.
Darn it.
Now, I should have taken that experience, and there was another time where I felt like I just heard like scratches going against the wall.
Ugh.
Like nails on a chalkboard, but less squeaky and more like, hey, don't come in here.
Mm-hmm.
And I should have taken this as an omen, because when I moved into that room, there were barely any nights where I slept more than 3 hours.
Oh.
There was this constant feeling that there was somebody watching me from above me, like on my ceiling. Like it was just staring down at me. And these nightmares, I know this is, the same for us at the Full Send Rejects, but it actually got worse.
Yeah, well.
Not only was this dream ending where this girl was like screaming, but there was like some kind of like presence behind her.
Oh, it's like almost like she couldn't get free. Something was holding her back.
Yeah.
Like it was demonic.
Yeah.
I fully believe like this thing was evil. It had no good intentions. Reinforced my belief that I had at the time, like this girl, she wasn't evil herself. Like I said before, she, woke me up and she fed me some information and whatnot. She connected with me.
Yeah.
And I began to feel like maybe she's trapped.
Mm-hmm.
Which goes back to that dream, that very first dream, where like, was this the person who was unfortunately murdered here?
Oh yeah.
Was she trapped? It was at this point, I was like, is she warning me of something that else is going on here? And if this is demonic presence, all this abuse. I mean, I'm talking about 114. This abuse didn't stop yet. A lot of hatred, a lot of violence, a lot of anger. Could it just be feeding into this?
Yeah.
And then we fast forward to 2014, where I left the house. As we talked about when you guys came to our podcast, I went to the military.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Instantly, those dreams stopped. Never had a problem. Didn't think of them.
Ironically, the best sleep of your life. Just hard to say when you're in the military.
Well, fun fact. I did still have nightmares, but they were like the PTSD nightmares from the what my therapist tells me, the trauma I had just growing up in that house, and then the military stressors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But there was none. I'd wake up and I'm like, oh, that sucked. Okay, go back to sleep. There was no. This girl wasn't there. This presence wasn't there. And for clarity's sake, I did come back later that year when I was done training. I had one small bad dream, and that was it.
Okay.
With this, but I was home, I think, for a month, and I didn't always stay at the house. I was kind of just, oh hey, and I didn't see this friend for 6 months, however long I was gone. Let me go stay over here. I was jumping around. 2017, so 3 years later, I was visiting a few more times. Like I did not come back to the house until this time. And I remember the very first night I had the same nightmare with this girl. Now, when I came back to visit, I stayed in the first bedroom that I had, the one that was left of the stairs or right of the attic. But I still had that same dream where this girl, long black hair, like nothing in her eyes, like something was taken from her. And I tried to approach her as she's curled over, and she just yelled. She screamed.
Oh, wow.
It was like she was reintroducing herself.
Yeah.
Welcome home, honey.
Basically. And the first time it happened, I'm like, oh, God, okay, this is terrifying. Eventually, I was like, all right, you're my girl. I got you. We developed a nice little relationship with each other.
Okay.
Mostly because, I believe she was, and she was trapped herself.
So during that reappearance, did you immediately recognize her in the dream, or was it?
It was as soon as I saw her black hair, I knew it was her. Like in my dream, I told myself, this is the same girl.
Mm-hmm.
Which was another thing I forgot to include in my notes. There's some point as a kid, it was like I was somewhere else at some point too. It was very weird.
Yeah.
So, and again, this only happened when I came back to visit. In 2019, I officially moved back into the house. Because I left the military, I came back. And when I came back, these nightmares came back. And they were like tenfold.
Oh, wow.
They weren't as often, but when they happened, it was
more intense.
It was more intense. And I even remember another aspect of some of these nightmares involved some presence coming into a room where I was at. And I hid underneath this desk. And each dream, I got more away. But I was always grabbed or taken.
Oh.
Ooh.
So you just couldn't hide from you couldn't hide from it no matter what you did.
Correct. But what was weird about that is I got intrigued. I started looking this up. We found, and I tried to find it before I did this episode. I could not find it again. I found a perfect match for this presence that came from ancient Abyssinian legend that preyed on nightmares and pushed people to depression and whatnot. Match its image, because he was very big with birds, like black birds. I don't want to say they're crows, but there was something like that.
Yeah, and don't blame my ravens, okay? Ravens are good birds. They're kind of jerks, but they're good.
Edgar Allan Poe is my guy, okay?
That's right.
My favorite poets ever.
See, PJ, he's wonderful.
I never said he wasn't.
In our last episode, PJ literally says, we just can't get away from this guy, can we? Oh, no, I think that's with the Native Americans, but same thing. Yeah. We always come back to Poe.
Yeah, I'd listen to you guys. I'm behind on all my podcasts right now.
You same, yeah.
You're not forgiven, but it's okay.
I'll get there, okay? But you know how, like, the legend says, like, if you find a demon or spirit's name, if you say it, they go away?
Yeah.
Well, once I learned about this name, mentioned in a dream, and never happened again.
Oh.
Cool.
But I still dreamed about this girl. Now, here's where you're about to get really spooked if you weren't already.
Does it include Rose's stories?
No, we have a few stories before we get to her.
Oh, okay.
I'm ready.
This story, so I was sitting in the living room. It was me, my mom, and a girl I was dating at the time.
Not relevant.
Don't worry, you're a lot better than
PJ, look away.
We were talking about this, and my mom decided to start saying the Lord's Prayer. About 10 seconds into it, all the lights began to flicker.
No Jesus here.
At which point, I made that same reaction, oh, Jesus, and I walked outside of the house. I'm like, I ain't dealing with this. Nope.
Bye.
So, yeah, I don't like that. I also, like, after that happened, those dreams increased with that girl.
So she doesn't like Jesus either, apparently.
Apparently not. Apparently she was not a Christian gal.
Oof.
Now, soon after that, my mom moved out because, you know, that's how this works, apparently. The son doesn't work out. The parent moves out.
Oh, yeah. Obviously.
So she moved in with
Her
soon-to-be ex-husband.
Oh, okay.
All right. Yep.
That's the appropriate thing, I guess, to say it right now. And I went over the one day, and we're hanging out with my sister. She was talking about how she had this dream involving this girl.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, I had the same dream, too. And she goes, shut up, you're messing with me, which is fair. About me, I am one with jokes, and then I look at her, I'm like, let me guess, kind of a youthful girl, long black hair, black eyes, and she looked at me, she's like, what the insert swear word are you talking about? And I told her about it, and she looked like she looked scared, like she had these same dreams.
Wow.
And again, never happened outside of the house, just happened there. Because she only talked about this because she was out, because she moved with her, my sister did, and she was having these dreams in her, so she felt like she was okay to talk about it. And when we're done, my brother, the youngest one, he goes, I had these dreams too.
Oh my gosh.
And at which point I was like, yep, I'm walking out of here. I don't like this.
Everything is awesome.
Everything is awesome.
And he thought he was special.
Apparently,
I thought she wanted to talk to me, but I guess she just gets around.
yeah. We just have a common spirit. Well, then I called my other sister. I'm like, hey, have you ever had weird dreams growing up? She's like, oh my God, I need to tell you so many. I'm like, oh no.
Let me sit down.
But like, we all had the same dream of the same girl.
Wow.
And none like spoke about her before we had these conversations. So now I'd like to fast forward a little bit more, maybe like a half year, a year, maybe not even a year, to where our dear friend, we're almost due, don't worry.
You almost get to talk.
Every time I get to a paragraph, she looks at me, she's like, is it my time? My precious.
Like half standing up out of her chair. I'm ready.
I'll just sit back down again.
Like a golden retriever that hears bone. So our dear friends, Billy and Liz, moved in with me. Billy being, you know, co-host of the Full Send Rejects, and who got me to understand that you guys exist. Got me listening to
Thank you, Billy.
wonderful podcast. So it was at this point, it was very common to me to go across the street and I'd just hang out with a friend on their porch because, you know, people did that still sometimes.
Yep.
Still know some of their neighbors.
They come to our porch and hang out at our porch, but yeah.
Yeah, we're the ones with the porch.
Yeah, we call it a porch party.
Well, one night I'm over there and we're having some juice boxes.
Oh, that's very nice.
That That's the best way I can put it.
Yep. Well, as you probably heard in our one podcast, PJ drinks juice pouches. And he drank it nice and loudly while I was, recording with Jackie. So, joke's on you. We actually drink those around
Literal
here.
juice pouches.
It was obnoxious.
So ADHD moment. When I heard that, I had this thought about 2 weeks before that. We're at the table, me and Rose are, and I found a Capri Sun, and I'm like, these are delicious. I chug it, and she looks at me. She's like, "Did you just have our 2-year-old daughter Capri Sun?" And I'm like, "Was this for her?" She's like, "Yep." I'm like, "I sure did then."
Yeah. No, she drank it really fast, honey. You should have seen it.
So, I'll put it this way. At this point, when I was over my neighbor's house, I was having spirits for spirits. Well, Billy sends me a message. He's like, "Hey, what's going on upstairs?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "What was that loud bang?" I'm like, "I'm across the street." He's like, "I keep right now I'm hearing loud bangs." I'm like, "Oh, that's the ghost." And he's like, "What?" So, fun fact, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, you are not legally required to tell roommates that your house is haunted.
Oh, yeah, we looked that up, yeah.
When we were considering selling our house, do we have to disclose that it's haunted?
Is that true? I made that as a joke.
No, you don't have to. We looked it up.
Yeah.
Huh, very nice.
New York, you have to.
Yeah.
There's a court case about it.
But you're in the clear here, sir.
New York is a separate breed.
Yep. There is a house that is so active that a judge had to pass that, they had to disclose it was haunted before they could sell it.
Well, New York also had the DeFeos. And, but I guess even before that happened, Liz was like, "Is this why I'm having these dreams of this girl?" And I'm like, "I'm out of here again."
Oh, no.
I'm like, "Listen, she's nice. You just don't mess with her. She's here. I don't think she's free willing. I think she's captive. You'll be fine." And they're just like, "Why did you not tell us?" I'm like, "I was not required to. Plus, I want friends." So here is where Rose can come in. As
Yay, Rose!
So just I'll let her expand on this. Because we began seeing each other.
Aww.
We were seeing each other before Billy and Liz moved in.
Oh my God, we were.
Yeah.
You're better than mine.
I've only spent the night a few times. It was easier for you to come to me than it was for me to come to you.
Okay, I have one joke and then you continue.
Okay.
This poor woman, okay? So at one point, she was carrying our child. And she was terrified. So, okay, at this point, my bedroom, I should have clarified this before, so I apologize. My bedroom was in the attic.
Yeah.
This poor woman was pregnant and was terrified to go down these stairs because she felt something.
Mm.
And the bathroom was downstairs.
Oh, no.
I was going to get
I felt so terrible. I was at the point, like, you know what? I'll start coming up to you because she lived in Wilkes-Barre at the time with her sister. I'm like, I'll make that trek up there. I felt so terrible, but go ahead. It's your show.
There was time before that I was pregnant. I spent the night over there. And I got up in the middle of the night and I had went to the bathroom. I thought it was his cat, Ivan. I felt...
That's a good name for a cat, by the way.
So his name came from Ivan the Terrible.
Yes. I got that.
Okay.
And he was the most precious little demon that the world ever gave anybody. He was amazing, yet very terrible.
He was the goat.
He gave love bites, but he only gave you affection when it was on his terms.
Aw, a cat should. But anyway.
However, I thought it was him thumping behind me as I was walking down the hall. Now, I know that he mentioned the hall a couple of times. Now, when you walked up the stairs, you can go right to the bathroom or left towards the bedrooms. There was a bedroom at the end of the hall next to the bathroom. However, every time I looked down there, I felt like someone was standing there.
Mm.
But I'm like, all right, I'm blind. I don't have my glasses on. I'm not familiar with this home. And it must be the cat. I open up the door, and of course I get scared. The cat runs in behind me and jumps in the sink because Ivan lived in the sink.
I would turn the sink just enough where like a one drop would come out like every some few minutes, and he'd sit there and he would love it.
He would curl his fat behind.
He was a 30-pound cat.
Yeah, and he would make himself a nice little seat, just enough for his face to reach the faucet. However, I chalked it up to that. And then I would always run up the stairs. I don't know why. You know those things where you always feel like something's going to follow you up the stairs?
Yeah,
Like
so fast, yeah.
some kind of demon or I am a very, very big believer in skinwalkers. And for some reason, I always feel like they're in the house. But that's just me growing up, childhood. I have trauma. So the first night I did that, I just felt like something big, something mean and scary was in the hallway. And I just chalked it up to the cat. Now, this happened a few more times. And I always felt like there was something very, very bad in the hallway. I would always turn on the hallway light. I just felt like I was going to tick everybody off by turning on the hallway light. Here I am, a guest in someone's home. We just started dating. So, first couple of nights, the first couple of times I spent the night, I was like, And I'm like, it'd be easier if you come to me. I have a child, I didn't want to be like, hey, by the way, your house creeps me out. I don't want to come there anymore. So there was a time where I was pregnant. As you are pregnant, you have to go to the bathroom a lot.
A lot.
The baby tumbles, kicks you, pokes you.
Kicks me right in the ovaries.
You know what? We're gonna get a 10 unit experiment on you.
No, we're not.
And
babe, you were so strong.
I had to go to the bathroom and I was scared. And I was like, I'm not going down there. Something is telling me not to go down there. I'm just gonna just squeeze it, hold it, and just go back to sleep. And within time, I fell asleep and I just felt something. It felt like breathing, heavy breathing. And I just felt something hovering over me. And I looked up and there was this girl with black hair just hovering over my body. And she had a face, but she didn't have a face. Oh. But she was screaming.
Wow.
No, thank you.
Oh my gosh.
So, not to cut you off, but just to clarify also, I did not tell her about this girl before this happened.
Yeah. Like I was too afraid to tell Anthony. I was scared of his house. And at that point, this girl appeared to me and I'm like, oh my God, I had a nightmare. All right. And at that point I was so scared. I'm like, I have to pee. I ran downstairs. I peed real quick, but I felt like someone was holding on to me the whole entire time. I just felt like this. And I felt like I just kept seeing the girl, but she was at the edge. I felt like she was with me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. She connected. She like linked on to you almost.
And I felt like it was an attachment or some kind of security. I don't know. She was scary, but I wasn't scared of her. But she was very terrifying because I couldn't make out a face, but you could see her features.
Yeah.
And her mouth was open and she was screaming and it was so piercing. And I just couldn't. It was like one of those screams that were so like those silent, like when your ear rings type of screams.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. No one else can hear it, but you can. And I'm like, wow, I'm tripping. These pregnancy dreams are getting crazy. So I went back to sleep, and I didn't mention it. And it wasn't for I spent the night again, and this time, when I woke up, I still saw her in the corner of the room, but there was someone with her, and I couldn't fall back to sleep. And then I told Anthony. And he's like, I'm so sorry.
Oh my God.
And at this point, I'm shaking and I'm like, I can't come back here. Like, this is like, it keeps happening and it's only happening when I'm here. And he's like, so I got to tell you something. And I'm like, what? He goes, come with me to the basement. I'm like,
No.
At this point, you got to think, me and Anthony have been together 3 years. We are married. We have a child together. And we end up getting it. We were one of those people who, we are blessed with our relationship, but we end up getting pregnant early in our relationship. It was 6 months.
We understand that.
Yep.
I knew what I wanted.
So here I am about 5 months pregnant. We're almost, we're like not almost 9 months in, 10 months into a relationship. We're hitting that year mark. And this man automatically wants to like be like, hey, spooky dreams. Let's take a walk to my basement. I've seen true crimes. I know how. And he's like, no, just hold my hand. I got you. I got to show you something. You're never going to believe this. And he shows me, he takes me downstairs to a basement. And he's like, what do you see over there? And all you see are these like dark mud looking handprints. And it looks like it's smudged. I'm like, what the hey is, of course I used other language, more brightful and colorful and language. And I'm like, that looks like blood. And he's like, bingo. He's like, no matter what we've done, it just won't come off.
Oh, that's weird.
And I'm like, this is a joke? And he's like, no, you're not the only person who's seen her. And he described her in detail. Like, there was no way she was, I didn't even tell her. I just told him I had a dream about this girl in a just freaky dream. And she was screaming at me. And he described her in perfect detail, told me that he's had a dream. His brother and both of his sisters had the same dream of the same girl. And then Billy also heard stuff. And the activity in the attic, that's where his bedroom was so active. And it was so insanely, the presence was so strong that I always felt like someone was there. That there was the night I ever first walked into this house. We went on our third date. Let's just say Anthony hit the apple juice box a little hard. And I had to help.
Was the season?
And it was Halloween time, and I had to help Father Anthony up the stairs.
Ironically, for that year, I was dressed as a priest.
Oh boy, got him that holy wine a little too heavy. Okay.
Juice.
It was apple juice. Jim
fermented.
Like I said, first night I've ever been to this house. First night meeting his siblings, his mother, everything. Don't know anything. Don't know about this. I've never even heard of. I've been in Pennsylvania at this point only like 8 years. Never heard of Centralia or the history of this coal mining town. Never. I was ignorant to.
We're spooky.
All things Pennsylvania outside of Luzerne County. But when I brought him up those stairs that night, I felt like someone, and you gotta understand, like I had to carry him up those stairs.
I tripped and I hurt my ankle.
I felt like someone was pulling him. And I'm like, man, he is really yanking himself up these stairs.
I'm that good.
I put him down, and when I put him to bed, I felt like someone was standing in the corner of the room.
I told you, me and her, we had a good thing going on.
And I was like, and I chalked it up to him being a man and him having a messy room, and maybe it was just like a coat or something. And I ignored it. I never thought of it. I never you didn't.
It's amazing how you can convince yourself.
You want to lie to yourself, yeah.
Yes, because I've seen some stuff in my day.
Oh yeah.
To where I'm not going to judge him or his living condition or his house. That he what was I going to? We just started dating, and this man was very, very sleepy at this point where I couldn't ask.
It worked hard. Listen, I worked at the hospital. COVID was going on. I worked a lot.
Yeah, this was peak COVID, by the way. So it was like one of those times where like the world shut down and everything was weird. Like everybody.
I also want to say, before I forget, so there's a common thing that said, oh, it's old lighting, it's old wire and stuff like this that causes these sort of things. When this room was renovated, everything was gutted and everything that was put in.
So whatever was up there was living peacefully until they renovated.
Yeah.
That's a common story. Renovations.
Yeah. And I just, at that point, I told him I could never stay. Luckily for me, we were pregnant and expecting. So we started looking for our own house and starting our own life together. And it was one of those things where I never had to step foot in that house again. Because I wouldn't allow myself, once I realized that these dreams weren't just freak weird dreams and they were actually a real spirit or an entity that was just injecting itself into people's dreams and be like, hey, by the way, I'm here, you want to be my friend?
No, I don't. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, it was like, hey, I believe in this kind of stuff, but let's not just like attach yourself to me. I cross my fingers when I go by graveyards. I don't look at tombstones for this reason. I don't want anybody coming home with me. Thanks, but no. It's been real. I'm checking out of this creepy hotel. It was one of those things that I didn't. Maybe what do you tell somebody you just started dating and like, hey, by the way, every time I come to your house, I have nightmares of a tall, masculine demon and a girl that screams at you. It's like and it's not even like, it's kind of sounds like she's not like ah. It's more like help, like she's trapped. It felt like at one point I was like, like once he told me about it, I'm like, man, we should really sage this house and try to help this girl. But at the same time, I'm not trying to.
Yeah, at the same time, we said
key off the
that
person. Yeah, I'm not trying to make the whatever's holding her there mad. I'm all about releasing spirits into crossing over and them having their peaceful existence. But I ain't about to have nothing spooky and creepy attaching itself to me or my children. So I let bygones be bygones, and I just made peaceful or whatever's in that house to be in that house.
Real close nightmare from a month ago.
However, we keep talking about the people who bought the house. We kind of just want to be like, hey, have you seen her yet?
So how's it going?
Is she okay? Has the big guy messed with you? Like, we want to be able to go to the house and ask the people who live there.
I do want to check for my girl.
But not only me, but Billy has said the same thing. Like just to see, like, is it just like none of us have ever spoke about this girl until it came to light.
Because it came to a point for me, it was like, I'm curious, like, do other people, like, I don't want to say anything, do other people say something?
Yeah.
And then that kept going. I was like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you say something, it puts in people's heads and it happens.
Yeah.
I mean, there was only one time I've ever been over there that I didn't see or feel a presence, but I was not in the right state of mind to be visited. And if I was not known to it.
I also, at one point, I forget when, I went on like a deep dive trying to find, like, was there somebody gone missing?
Yeah.
Somebody that was hurt or something?
We did our research.
And at one point, I did find a girl who looked a lot like her. And it was from like the 1960s. And it was like tall girl, long black hair. And one of my biggest regrets, I should have, see if somebody would come in and like do some sort of investigation.
Like a medium or something.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
So Billy still lives in that area, right?
Yeah.
He lives maybe, 5 minutes away.
All right, send him. Send him over to ask the new owners.
He can pretend that he's like there to like install like new electric, and he can just like run an EVP throughout the house. And
that's the thing. Like I said, like in the attic, it's all new electric. It's all new everything.
Yeah.
And that's where it peaked. It was just, and everyone saw it there.
But when everybody moved out, and before your mom sold the house, they renovated everything all over again. So if anything, I feel like it would just kick up.
It's like Emerald Lagasse, kick it up a notch. Bam.
Yeah.
Bam. So, your Spice Weasel.
It makes me wonder, like.
I hope someone gets that reference.
From Futurama.
I couldn't get into that show. I tried a couple times.
Oh.
I know.
So is that like are those all the stories then?
Off the top of my head, I mean,
Well, I was just checking because it's so compelling.
It is.
Like, there's some minor ones where, like I said, like I touched on before, where like kids who stayed over when I was growing up, some were scared, like terrified.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They were
Well, because it's
scared.
interesting, like, you feel the presence, there's the screaming, there's the shared dreams, but there's, a lack of shoving down the steps. There's a lack of, well, I guess for you, you woke up with bruises when you were little, but you also were in a house full of trauma. So you could, because as you got older, no one mentioned having any bruises, so I wonder if it was just trying to get your attention. And then once it did, it like attached itself to you.
That was another weird thing. Like, my mom never mentioned that she had any of these dreams. And, my stepdad, the one I'm talking about here that did some of these terrible things, never really had those kind of conversations, but he never really mentioned. Like, I read some of his, like, because he was in the Air Force. He deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I saw some of his ones. He had nightmares, but not like
Creepy
these
girl
kind
in
of
the attic
Supergirl. Like, he had PTSD.
Yeah.
There was never mention from them too.
But one thing that we all have in common, the people who have all seen it, have had deep-rooted childhood traumas.
Well, so did they. Just not.
Well, what we learned when we had our exorcism done was that they tend to pick on things that they see weak, which would be children. So that could be part of it too.
I'm not a child. I'm in my 30s.
Oh, well, yeah.
And that's a very good argument. I thought about that too, because that's a very common thing. They find the weakest person who is most mentally susceptible.
But I was with.
Or something it sees as a threat, which you, an outsider, would have been. Which is what happened to Shanna too.
And you taking away him, maybe that was threatening to the ghost as well. Yeah, it saw me as a threat because not that I'm more religious. I think I'm just more grounded in my religion. That's how the priest put it. Like, all your big Catholic words and all your stuff and your gumption, but like my faith never, leaves. Like there's just that like kind of like a solid foundation.
So to the point though of like the being mentally susceptible, after I came home, like I said, before I came home from the military, I was, still having these nightmares. I was deep heavy into therapy. Like I was, getting my mental health back on track. And I was like, even when my mental health was getting good, still having these nightmares.
Wow.
Like all my PTSD nightmares were going away and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like this girl, she stayed. But as soon as I moved out of the house, stopped.
Yeah. All right, so field trip. We got to go to the house.
Yeah. And what we do is we write the description of the girl on a piece of paper because we don't want to influence the owners who live there now,
Yeah.
So and then you just say like, have you had a dream of anyone? And then if they say, yeah, a girl, blah, 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 and then we show them the paper.
Open the envelope. Now can we come in and run?
Like a magic show,
paranormal investigation. Yeah.
I can still like picture her like taller, skinny, long black hair.
The hair.
They always have long black hair.
And like her cheekbones were like prominent.
But you really couldn't, other than cheekbones and the screaming of her face, you really couldn't.
The pitch black eyes.
Yeah, the eyes were all blackened out, but you really couldn't make. Besides that, it was just more like it was haunting. It was
that kind of classic creepy ghost.
But you can tell it was a person at one point. It wasn't just like a demon or entity, not like the Grudge or some kind of.
But that's why I bring up that first dream I had, like something like somebody had a terrible thing happen to them in that house. That's why I bring that first dream. Because I don't ever had that dream. And like what 5-year-old dreams of someone taking an axe to the head in the basement after being drowned up, on the second floor.
Now, I mean, what my thing is that when I go back and I listen and I think about things that happened in dreams and stuff in that house, maybe there was a key role. What if we saw this person before something happened? What if they presented themselves
almost like as a harbinger?
Yeah, because sometimes you dream of people you've never seen before.
Yeah.
You've never met. What if that was one of those people? And a lot of times they say if you dream of somebody you've never met, it's a ghost or it's a spirit or it's somebody passing. It was one, like, what if it was one of those people, like maybe we've seen this person.
Wow.
And I've done so much research. Anthony's done research and maybe we're looking for missing people in the area, but maybe this person's never been gone. What if it was somebody who wasn't ever, they knew known to go missing, or that it was just one of those small towns where.
When you mentioned dark hair, maybe it was someone ethnic that was brought in illegally and she was just, systematically abused in that house until she was killed. It's dark, but there are so many factors.
And a lot of things that makes me think is somebody of Native descent, where what if it would, it just, I follow those the stories in Alaska of Native girls going missing, and people just turn a blind eye because it happens so frequently.
There's this podcast called The Well House Exorcism where they went about Native Americans being brutalized. You should do it.
No, but I'm saying
some of us do.
I listen.
Ooh.
So I gotta go now. Bye.
This is the last time we ever heard from Anthony.
It got really cold.
If you see him in your dreams, you'll know why.
Oh no! Anthony, no!
No, but you see multiple stories on people, like especially young Native girls, and this woman is not necessarily old, but she's not.
She's like a good 30s,
but she's not old. Like
I'm 36 and I feel old.
I keep picturing the Bentnick lady from Haunting of Hill House.
No.
I mean, I'm 34. I mean, I don't look my age, but sometimes when you're looking at people and if they take care of themselves, they don't look their age. But when you get somebody who has no eyes and they don't look aged, it's hard to tell if someone's in their 20s or in their 30s, especially when they're distorted.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now if you do some research, I'll look it up.
I wonder if they can find something that we just can't find. Not saying that we're not smart enough, but obviously you guys are more educated.
Our episode with binders of information.
After we did our first episode with you, I'm like, wow, I feel like I need to go back to school. They're so well spoken, and we're just
we're two halves of a whole idiot.
Oh yeah.
I have multiple degrees and I'm an English teacher by trade. I like my research and I know big words. But I can't walk upstairs sometimes. It's okay.
I literally can't.
Yeah, PJ literally can't walk upstairs right now.
Weaknesses.
Nothing more humbling than watching your husband crawl upstairs.
I would be so happy if you guys can find something and shed light on this to where we can do a part 2 to this and maybe find and then maybe we can, maybe one day we'll get the cojones enough to knock on the door and be like, hey,
we've done a lot of research and we need to use your house now.
Actually, something you could do is go to the county courthouse and look up the address to see what kind of paperwork is there.
Huh.
I'm sure as far as like deeds go.
Yeah.
Well, what you can do is text, now that you have PJ's cell phone number, text him the address of the house. Then I can start looking into the area. And that could be, again, into the new year, 2024, we can come back and really focus on what I find from the area.
Yeah.
So
I'll do that now so I don't forget.
There we go. All right. So, well, thank you so much for being on, Anthony and Rose. Really appreciate your stories.
Those are incredible stories.
It is a good way to end out the year.
Yeah.
Relive some of my childhood trauma.
Yeah. It brought back some trauma from this house too, with having the ghosts here and everything. So I'm just like, oh yeah, that sounds familiar. Oh, the basement, yeah.
Maybe our ghosts can be friends.
Oh no, I don't want it back. We exorcised that buddy out of here. It's gone.
Never mind.
Sorry, she's still alone. She wants you. Go back to her.
I'm doing that.
Yeah, hard pass. Anyway. Well, anyway, thank you so much for being here. All my listeners, if you want to hear some really cool, fun stuff, hop on to Full Send Rejects. They post like once or twice a week. I only post once a week. I feel like I'm lazy compared to them. But it's lots of fun to listen to them and to hear the different stories. And right now, their mini-series on the missing people on Sharp Mountain is just heartbreaking, heart-wrenching, but good. Yeah, good. So anyway, have a happy and safe holiday, and we'll see you in the brand new year, January 7th. And as always, think spooky thoughts.